The growl of a diesel engine at 7 a.m. yanked me from sleep, sounding like a beast choking on morning mist. I stumbled outside in slippers, coffee in hand, and froze. A tow truck was backing down my boat ramp chains, clanking, hoisting my 2 fiberglass kayaks like stolen loot from a heist movie. The driver offered a half-hearted wave as if he was just doing his job nearby. Cynthia Reed stood smugly, clipboard clutched, sporting a neon vest emblazed with Lake Patrol volunteer, sipping lemon-infused water like she was presiding over a royal court. That moment, watching my kayaks dangle, I knew she'd declared war not just on me, but on reason itself. I'm Nathan, and Crystal Cove isn't just my home, it's my life. I inherited this lakeside land from my grandfather, a biologist who dedicated his years to preserving its ecosystem. I own most of the shoreline and hold legal rights to its environmental management. For decades, the Cove was my sanctuary, kayaking, consulting on water systems, breathing in the quiet that changed a year ago when a new subdivision sprouted on the north end, bringing an HOA hell-bent on control. Within months, Cynthia was crowned president, strutting with a self-awarded vest like she ruled the kingdom. She started small flyers about noise violations, requests for uniform dock paint. Polite nudges turned tyrannical. I ignored her until a 40-page lake use manual appeared, declaring my cove a community asset needing her oversight. She formed a lake compliance team with her lackey, Tom and Linda, measuring our lengths and finding kids for unapproved floaties. It was laughable until it wasn't. Her rules escalated. No private kayaks, no unregistered docks, HOA-approved paddle boats. Only they held a bizarre vessel blessing for their garish rental boats, straight out of a theme park reject pile. I stayed out of it until it hit close. My client, Marcus, a veteran with a prosthetic arm, used my kayaks for therapy. One morning, Tom and Linda cornered him, accusing him of illegal boating. Marcus called me humiliated. I apologized, then checked my dock. Me kayaks were gone. Security footage revealed an HOA contractor towing them at dawn. No notice, no warning. That's when I realized Cynthia hadn't just crossed a line, she'd burned it. I stormed to the HOA office, a sterile space reeking of lavender and arrogance. Cynthia sat behind a desk labeled Lake Harmony Officer. Smiling like a shark, I demanded my kayaks. She slid me a glossy rule book, citing Section 12, Clause B, on unauthorized vessels. When I said I never agreed to her rules, she laughed, claiming the HOA controlled lake access. For aesthetic unity, I didn't yell. I walked out, her smugness fueling a plan. She didn't know Crystal Cove was my legacy, tied to a conservation agreement, giving my family ecological authority. By targeting my kayaks, she'd awakened a fight she couldn't win back home. I dug out my grandfather's contract with the state, granting us control over water levels, sediment, and floodgates for the cove's southern half. I called my lawyer, Elena, a property rights expert. I sent her the tow truck footage. She didn't chuckle. She said, "Time to show them who owns the water." That night, by the lake's edge, I traced the faded paint on the valve shed door. I wouldn't scream or sue. I'd let the lake itself speak, delivering a lesson. Cynthia's HOA couldn't ignore. Sleep eluded me, the plan pulsing with every creak of my cabin. This wasn't vengeance, it was justice rooted in the cove's natural laws. At dawn, I filed a maintenance notice with the Department of Water Resources, citing my right to lower the lake. For ecological work, the valve system hidden in a shed, mistaken for a storage hunt, controlled water flow. My grandfather designed it to balance droughts and floods, a rare private stewardship deal. Elena sent the county a formal notice invoking clauses that suspended lake access during maintenance for safety. Legally, I was untouchable. She called it weaponized conservation. I called it reclaiming balance. By noon, I'd installed pump regulators and adjusted sediment channels. The work was quiet, just hums and gravity. By afternoon, a thin silt line marked the receding water. Most wouldn't notice yet, but I documented every step-level soil photos like a scientist, I posted a sign by the HOA's lake trail, ecological maintenance in progress water levels. May shift. It included a QR code linking to my county permit. I wanted transparency, not drama. That evening, Tom appeared, scowl tight, demanding answers. I offered iced tea and pointed to the QR code. He scanned it, read the permit, and paused. Does Cynthia know? He muttered, she will. I said he left tea untouched by morning. The lake had dropped 8 inches, stranding the HOA's floating Dakagati platform for their wine and cheese gatherings. Its barrels, poorly anchored, tilted, spilling chairs into the mud. Linda tried salvaging them with a pool net, cursing as mud splashed her. I watched from my porch, sipping coffee as her frustration echoed. Elena texted a screenshot from a local forum, Cover Crater. Poe's Lake fiasco. Comments range from alien conspiracies to jabs at Cynthia's lake empire. I laughed, but tension simmered on day 3. Cynthia held an emergency HOA meeting under a pavilion. Their speaker system broadcast her rant. This is sabotage, Tom mentioned. My permit. Linda blamed algae when Cynthia read Elena's filing. She went silent, then hurled her clipboard. Screaming about conspiracies, I stayed out of sight. Letting her unravel, a news van arrived, filming residents in muddy boots. The headline, HOA dries up cove plotter protocol. I declined comment. The lake's shrinking spoke louder. Cynthia retaliated with a restraining order, claiming I endangered wildlife. Elena laughed, filing a counter-motion with drone footage of HOA contractors illegally dredging for their dock months earlier and footage online. Cove catastrophe trended memes, mocked Cynthia, waiting in mud, captioned from Kayaks to Quagmire residents questioned HOA fees and ignored rules. Teens held mudfest soccer games by stranded docks. Retirees fished in puddles, one wearing a crater. Anglers' shirt stickers read, drained, not done. The HOA's grip weakened. My wildlife cameras caught the final blow. Cynthia in black sneaking to a pump at 2 a.m. With bolt cutters, she tried shutting a valve, slipped and face-planted in sludge. She kicked the pump and limped off. I sent the footage to Elena, who forwarded it to the county. It leaked, airing as HOA chief's muddy meltdown with slow-motion replays. Social media erupted GIFs. TikTok sound, Cynthia's sludge saga. At an HOA vote, only 9 attended, 7 ousted. Cynthia, she screamed about cartels at a potluck, escorted out by pie-wielding neighbors. Her house hit the market. She moved to a drone-free community. A new HOA board led by Clara, a pragmatic botanist, proposed co-managing the lake. With me, we signed an agreement over coffee, prioritizing balance over control. I restored the lake's flow water, creeping back slowly like a cautious friend. Kids cheered as puddles grew. Fishermen returned. A teen painted a sign, Crystal Cove, respect the water. Respect each other, no party docks. I hosted a gathering, sodas, sandwiches, new kayaks for Marcus. He paddled with his grandkids, their laughter healing old wounds. Neighbors brought pies, stories, no rule books. A girl mimicked a reporter announcing the cove's rebirth. As the sun set, I stood by the dock, Marcus's kayak gliding across the water. A postcard of peace, Clara's HOA ditched pledges and flags. The cove breathed again, reads, upright frogs, loud fish darting. I started a blog, Cove Chronicles, sharing the saga. With humor, readers asked how to fight HOAs. I advised patience, permits, and maybe a pump spring brought nesting birds and shared paddle boats. The lake was just Crystal Cove, again titles, no battles under the stars, with guitar strums and distant laughter. I felt the peace my grandfather fought for. It started with 2 kayaks and a neon vest, but it ended with a lake reborn, a community united, and Cynthia's empire sunk in the mud she fell.